Hey there, I'm Todd Burrier, and I am honored to be able to hang out with this pretty awesome lady that is joining us for this recording. Ann Brown is a doctor of literatures and English and a college professor in Arkansas. And besides being a really pretty amazing person, extremely bright, although she won't tell you that, but all you gotta do is talk to her for 10 seconds and you'll know that, as well as sweet as can be. And the list could go on, but that's not why we're here. Anne has an amazing story, really, that will help you a lot if you're in that space where you're struggling with, I don't know how else to put it, that you think you're going crazy because your hormones are out of whack and you're going through that transition in life and things aren't working. And obviously I can't tell you what to do. So, but Anne took the bull by the horns and really has some incredible information to share with you that I think will be of immense value. And so, Anne, thank you so much for being so willing, actually enthusiastic to get this message out.
Thank you, Todd. I tell you, I appreciate you so much. And just over the years, your inspiration, your guidance has been so helpful. And so I am honored to be able to share my experience here with you today.
Awesome. So why don't you share your backstory a little bit and really what led to you going, I've had enough?
Great. You know, I have struggled with female issues my whole life. I had no idea. And just growing up in rural Arkansas, at one point, the doctor said, oh, at 14, told my mother I needed to have a baby to help solve the issues. It was crazy. Even back then, my mother knew better than follow that advice, by the way. But anyway, just through the years, I struggled with PMS. I struggled with a number of feminine issues. And when I lived in DC, I mean, I had Harvard and Georgetown trained female physicians who looked at my situation, listened to my symptoms, and one of them basically said, well, it has to do with hormones, and we don't know enough about that yet, and so we're not gonna play with those. And at the same time, the big scare with the number of women who were being diagnosed with cancer for after having estrogen replacement therapies and these kinds of things. So basically, my doctor said, yeah, we've got some things going on, but we're not going to deal with them. Fast forward, I'm in my late 40s, almost 50, and I wind up being diagnosed with this germoid cyst, and we have to take out a left ovary. Okay, fine. Everybody was so excited that everything was contained in that left ovary that nobody said, wow, there may be some imbalances, and maybe you've been struggling with imbalances all of your life that need to be addressed here. So we all rejoiced, yay, and we went on. Mid-50s and starting with the change with menopause, things just started to get really, really crazy for me. I couldn't focus. I couldn't read the literature that I have loved all of these years. Grading students' papers, making the thousands of decisions you have to do in order to properly evaluate a paper. I just felt overwhelmed. I was exhausted all the time. I felt very depressed. It was hard to see what was going to happen in the future and how that could be hopeful. And I just didn't feel like myself. I mean, I felt like I was kind of hovering above myself. It was very strange. And the irritability. I mean, I have been a person most of my life who've been able to say, okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of your best intention, no matter what happened. But at that particular point, I was like, I'm going to rip off your head. So I didn't recognize myself in a lot of ways. And I thought, if this is as good as it gets, especially at this point in my life, and as we're going down the road to, I have more days probably behind me than in front of me. But I was like, if this is as good as it gets, I need to do something else. And it was in that moment at the end of 2018 that I finally said, it's up to me to find out what's going on with me and to fix me. So basically, I reached out to a compounding pharmacy and asked to have my hormones tested. Now, this is just an example because I talked to the lady about 20 minutes and she said, yes, we have this test and that test. And I went over to get the test, and I asked for the one that tests 5 hormones, and she didn't have it in stock. I've talked to you for 20 minutes. I've driven for half an hour. You don't have it in stock? It was like the little antenna on the cartoon, you know. I was so angry in that moment. And I said, no, thank you, and walked away. Anyway, the bottom line is I knew that I had to find some other ways to get the information that I needed in order to make me feel better. And so I ordered another source, the same test that I could have gotten there. And
didn't you also have some other physical issues going on at the same time that were representative of something being wrong?
Yeah, you know, I wasn't sure whether my heart was going off, and so that was the first thing I did, was to go and get my I went down and had a whole heart evaluation, and that all turned out to be fine. But also just the sweats, the inability to, you know, my levels for the diabetes test and some other kinds of things, you know, those were fluctuating. I didn't have diabetes, but I was getting close. There were physical changes that were just going, that were just unacceptable to me, right?
Like, so you said something about your eyebrows or your fingernails.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, because I did not expect this protocol that we'll talk about later to affect the fact, you know, my eyebrows were thinning. My sister-in-law had said, Ann, girl, you know, even on some of the videos I've made, she's like, you can put some eyebrows on. Who knew? And then my nails were thinning. They were thinning horribly. And I had gone to the nail technologist and said, look, my nails are breaking down here in the quick, you know, far down in the nail. And the cuticles were so dry, and my nails were brittle. And what the nail technologist decided was that I needed to use gel and dips. And once we finished that process, my nails were flaking. I mean, it was ridiculous. So that didn't help. But I did not associate those symptoms with the hormonal imbalances at that time. So I just thought, okay, you get old and you lose your eyebrows, and there's something wrong. Exactly. You just have to paint them on thicker or something. And I thought too, just that, you know, something that I was doing was making my nails, had changed them and was making them that brittle. And that the nail technologist that, you know, it's super nails or whatever you want to call it, that she had the answer to how to fix that she could put something on the nail, right, and fix the problem. So yeah, those things were going on as well. But again, I think one of the key things, Todd, is that there's this plethora of symptoms and changes and things that are happening, and we don't know how to connect the dots. You know, we don't know that all of these things are related to a foundational nutritional deficiency that needs to be addressed. And I didn't connect those things at the beginning.
So what about, so you ended up getting the test to test yourself for hormones. So what happened then?
Right. It's a saliva test. And so you get this kit in the mail, and you wake up in the morning, you rinse your mouth out, you wait 5 minutes, you spit in a tube. And then over the course of the day, you collect your saliva and send it in. The test that I got was to test 8 different things. So it tested estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, and testosterone. And then it checked cortisol over the course of the day. So 4 times for cortisol. So that's how we get to the 8. And when I got my results back in about 5 days, I was shocked. I was shocked because the estrogen level was at 0.5, you know, the DHEA level 0.5, progesterone 0.5. Testosterone was the only one of the hormones that was in range. And then for the cortisols that are supposed to start out high in the morning and then decrease over the course of the day, mine started out high in the morning and went up over the course of the day. And so I had these aha moments when I looked at those results, because that was the point at which I realized that I'm not crazy. There's something physical, there's something physical going on here, and I can address those physical things. And so that's what I did. So the results first, the very first effect of getting those results was just a sense of tremendous relief that I wasn't crazy and that there was some hope.
Well, you still might be crazy, but in
Well,
a good way.
but it may just be a lunatic, they're looking to quote Billy Joel.
So you got the numbers,
Yeah.
Being a researcher, this is something that you would do. And then what? What
Right.
did you implement?
Right. Oh, that's cool. I was already taking a basic nutritional supplement, and I was taking, but here's the thing. I was taking supplements kind of off and on, I was not consistent with taking the supplement. So that's important to know. I've been taking an antioxidant, a very potent antioxidant, for a number of years to help me with my allergies, and a foundational nutritional product. And I just decided that because these products had worked so well, even with my kind of, on again, off again kind of compliance, that I would look for these kinds of supplements and these natural remedies to help. So I looked to that company, did research at that company to see what products they made, so that I could then come up with a plan for myself as to how to address these issues.
So you used a protocol of supplements. Did you do anything else? Did you change anything about the way you ate? Did you do anything else?
Good question. Yes, I did. I started looking at just eating more healthfully. I used the protocol, the same company used protocol to, reduce the amount of food that I was eating, to change the kinds of foods I was eating. I stopped putting sugar in my coffee. Okay, I learned, and that was shocking to me that I could drink black coffee. So yeah, I really started to eat on a more low-G plan. So tried to move out those things that might exacerbate the symptoms that I was having. I stopped eating nearly as much white bread, nearly as much processed food, and went back to more protein supplements and fresh fruits and vegetables. And I went to clean, lean proteins, particularly fish, turkey, and chicken. But what I didn't do is to necessarily increase my physical activity. I had been walking in the past, just ridiculous numbers of steps. But what I found too was hip pain, knee pain, foot pain, all of these kinds of things. And I just, so I didn't go back out and try to become physically active right away, because I felt like what was happening to me was happening in me, and that I needed to address first and foremost what was happening inside of me. And to me, that meant giving my body what it needed to be able to heal itself.
All right. So essentially you did two things in that realm. You stopped putting stuff in your body that wasn't helping it, right? You reduced the amount of stuff that wasn't helping it.
Right.
Foods in general aren't necessarily highly nutritive, but you weren't at least eating stuff that was zero nutritive.
Correct.
And then you were supplementing the other side to make sure your body had a lot of raw material, because, well, like hormones, for example, your body uses vitamins and minerals to make those, right? So
exactly.
Okay, so that's what you went on, and then what changed for you physically and how over time?
In about a week and a half to 2 weeks, I noticed that I felt better. It's interesting. I was sharing with one of my colleagues this sensation of kind of feeling like I was outside of myself. and she said a most insightful thing. She said, yeah, and I felt like that twice in my life. She said both times it was after I had given birth, and so this postpartum kind of hormonal shift too. And so again, that was affirmation for me, because I felt like, okay, you're not crazy, because other people have felt this. And I felt it was affirmation that the connection that I had made between the symptoms and the hormones, right? So I started to feel better. I could focus. I could, it was easier to grade papers. I felt a sense of lightness, and so a less depressive kind of mood, and just a sense of hopefulness. I found myself being able to get up, first to sleep well, because that's another thing I didn't talk about, right? The insomnia, the interrupted sleep just was insane too. I couldn't stay asleep all night, and then just waking up with worry. And that only exacerbated everything else that was going on. So I found that I was sleeping better. But I didn't want it just to be, I took these supplements and then I'm feeling better. Yay! I didn't want it to be like, just a placebo. Was it a placebo effect? Did I just believe that, okay, I'm taking these supplements now, so woo, now I know I'm feeling, now I'm feeling better. And I wanted to be able to look at and to connect those dots, as I said earlier, and to have the data that supported that the changes that I made over here by providing my body with the nutrients that it needs, created the effects that I felt over here. The feeling better, the having more energy, the being able to focus more, and so on. The eyebrows coming back, and nails that actually don't flake off and brittle and break down very easily.
So you've had obviously a significant life change through this life change period.
Yes.
So what did your numbers say? Because you're a researcher. You didn't want to just say, I took this and I feel better. I got to be able to show you.
Exactly.
Right. So
yes, exactly right. One of the things that in one of the aspects of my job is to teach students to have the data, to have the quantifiable evidence there to prove that whatever you did here caused that. And so I took the initial test in January, and then 4 months later, I just thought that would be enough time. Let's give it a third of the year. And I took the test again, and what I found was that all of my numbers were in normal range now. Right? I'll say that again. Incredible, except one. All of the numbers were in normal range. In January, the only one of the numbers that was in normal range was testosterone. All right. Imagine the range when you look at the proportion. But here we are in April, and all of the numbers now are within normal range. The only one that was still out was the ratio of progesterone to estrogen, right? And still working to bring that into balance and into normal. But this test that tested 8 different things, January, 7 of them are either high or low, right? And only 1 is in normal. April, 7 of them are in normal, and only 1 is out of range. I mean, that's a total flip-flop. What does that? Right? Well, what does that?
The human body does it when it gets what it needs to do, right? And so you had this experience where you were noticing, I don't want to say you were getting back to normal, but you were becoming you again and feeling better and seeing physical evidence in all kinds of areas. And then you're like, the numbers say I should be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I lost weight too. Todd, from that time I lost right around 25 pounds, and I've continued to lose weight. Now I went on a cruise and just lost my mind, but some other things. But the bottom line is that the weight loss too is coming into a better range. We're headed toward normal. Still have a long, long way to go. But the bottom line is that this correlation between, for example, cortisol and weight loss. I mean, if my cortisol is high and it's not falling off over the course of the day, then weight loss for me is going to be significantly impeded, let's say,
How about possible?
if not possible. Exactly. And so that was another just very, it was another very happy outcome that I had not necessarily expected, along with the nails and the brow and other things.
That's awesome. So would you share with everybody exactly the product protocol you used?
Absolutely. I was taking the daily bio basics, the foundational nutrition, and proanthanols. And proanthanols I've been taking for years in accordance with my body weight, because I suffered from allergies for most of my life. And at one point I was taking 2 shots a week, and I was taking an oral medication, and I had things to spray up my nose, right? And so when I started taking proanthanols years ago, according to my body weight, then I noticed that, hey, I can stop going down there getting stuck. So I've been, I've been taking those. And then the Excel product, which is a circulation product, and I've been taking that too. So those are kind of the foundational products. But what I added specifically to look at the hormone issues, I started to take the endocrine DHEA, and I have the bottle here. I don't even want to show that. But I started taking that product according to the recommendations on the product. Evening primrose oil. I had spoken with an herbalist years ago in Maryland, and he put me on a protocol of evening primrose oil and red raspberry leaf tea and some other things. And so I already knew what that product should do and how it should work. And so that was good. And then the feminine balance formula, I added that. Well, and so these the specific products that targeted what I had identified through the testing as.
Sorry, everybody, we had a little interruption in the recording. So now, Anne, would you pick back up where you were when you were talking about you just finished talking about the feminine formula.
Right. And so those are the products, the issue specific products that I added in, and just, the feminine balance, the evening primrose oil, and the DHEA, endocrine DHEA products. And those on top of the foundational products that I was already taking is what I took during that time. And, so when I took the test again in April, so 4 months, I thought, as I said, that would be a valid amount of time to say this product is actually working. And because a lot of the things that I've read talked about the difference between these manufactured drug products and supplements, that supplements can often take longer to work. And so, because we're talking about rebuilding body systems. And so the reasoning was that supplements can take longer to work and for us to feel a difference than different kinds of drugs that are targeted at working on symptoms, right? And so I wanted to give myself a large enough period of time that that I could account for that, for that.
You.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing that you pointed out that I just want to kind of reiterate for those watching this is that your body uses the foundational nutrients to do everything. And when you then put the specialty items on top of foundation, your body can use them in the best way possible. That's how you get enhanced results in what is relatively a short period of time. I mean, you felt better pretty fast, but in the empirical data, really for that amount of time is pretty amazing.
Yes. And that to me, just gave me, I mean, I believed in these products, I believed in this company, and, you know, Life Plus, I've been using them off and on over the years. But to have those two pieces of paper, those two email, you know, it comes in an email, the results come in an email, but to have that data and be able to look at it side by side and say, there is a direct correlation between my taking these products and these numbers changing. That was significant as far as building, not just building, but expanding the confidence that I already had in these products.
Awesome. Awesome. Are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share other than the women who are dealing with are not crazy?
Right. You know, don't go through this thing by yourself. There's no need. I thought about in the scripture how it tells the older women to teach the younger women, and I think that we've lost some of that in our culture as far as we as women be passing on to each other the information that we need in order for us to thrive at each stage in our life. I mean, our lives should be testimonies to creativity and joy and love and peace and, you know, all of this kind of thing all the way through. No, you know, no matter the stages. And two things that I learned from this process. Number one is that I need to be my own best advocate. Right? Because I have told doctors over the years consistently, these are the symptoms. This is what I'm going through. This is what's happening. And I'm grateful for those doctors. I'm grateful for the technology that allows us to do the studies and know where we are. But I did not get, I don't feel, the kind of help I actually need to fix the foundation of the problem. So number one, this idea of being my own best advocate. And number two, the reality that I don't have to suffer in silence and be alone in feeling like, you know, I mean, my job is me to be confident and to be, you know, yes, I know all, you know, but but inside feel very disconnected and fragmented and not really knowing why or whom to talk to in order to make it better. That feeling of isolation is horrible. And what I want women to understand is you don't have to be isolated and to try to figure this all out by yourself. That there is a community of women and men and people who are dedicated to health, who can help guide us through this process. And hopefully, if each one teach one, you know, we'll just help make it a better experience for us all.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and opening yourself up to share what it really could change someone's life if they take action. You know, and this wasn't presented to you and shared. First of all, it wasn't rehearsed. It's not practiced. The only thing I'm editing out of this is the spot where Anne disappeared. And you can tell by the video being a little fuzzy in some areas, but I think you could hear, you know, you could hear what Anne had to share. And, you know, this isn't to represent a curative claim or to tell you this is going to solve all your problems. You know, it is something that could help you. You know, and it's going to help your body have what it needs to do what it needs to do. And then, you know, your journey is your journey. But if you want to be proactive about helping yourself and you don't want to have a life of medication, then, you know, get in touch with whoever shared this interview with you.
Yes.
And again, so appreciate you and your openness and willingness. You're an awesome lady.
It's my responsibility to share, Todd. It's, you know, when we know better and we are able to do better, it's, I think, our personal responsibility to help others do better as well.
Amen. Amen to that. So thank you again for watching and feel free to share it. And thank you again, Anne.
Thank you.